What's up, guys? So in this video, I want to talk about prismatic evolutions and compare it to evolving skies, and have a little discussion on whether I think prismatic evolutions could outperform evolving skies in the long run. And I think there's arguments to be made for both sides, and I think it's closer than a lot of people think, but we'll get into that. I saw the meme on the r/pokeinvesting subreddit, and I thought it would be a fun video to make. Evolving skies, the cute, harmless SpongeBob, 17 alt arts. On the other side, 32 SIRs, all evolutions plus EV, Master Ball Hollows, and God Packs. So on face value, I understand it's a meme, but there is a lot to be excited about when it comes to Prismatic, not just for the sealed side, but also just, the slabs and what people could actually invest in. And before, we kind of talk about everything and go too in depth, I think it's important kind of just to have a discussion about what cards are in the set and where I think a lot of these are going to go. So it does seem like the Umbreon is going to be a very expensive card. It's selling for $1,600 on TCG Player, a little bit less on eBay, which we'll look at in a bit. The Sylveon's up there as well. That'll probably be one of the most expensive cards, maybe the number 2. You're going to have the Umbreon Master Ball, which, maybe it falls off in price, but I think just because of how rare it's going to be, it's going to have a nice price tag on it. The Leafeon's up there, which is unsurprising to me. Vaporeon. The Espeon I thought was going to be higher. And again, maybe it's just because it's out the gate. And again, maybe it's just bias as well. Who knows? But I actually prefer the Espeon artwork over the Leafeon, the Vaporeon, all these other ones, including the Sylveon. I understand Sylveon's probably a more popular Pokemon, so that's why it's going to be worth more. But, that'll be up there as well. Glaceon, Jolteon, Flareon, those will, be behind, but they'll still have some value. The Eevee as well. The Roaring Moon, I think, is going to fall off in price. I don't think this is going to be anywhere near the top 11 cards. The Gold Pikachu EX, I think, will probably stay up there as one of these top 10, 11 cards. And then a lot of these other ones, the Ceruledge, the Dragapult, Raging Bolt, Ursaluna, Iron Valiant. This is just first page, guys. If you go into the second page, there are a lot more cards that I think people forget about. You have the Goldango, the Ogerpon Mask, the Iron Crown. I really don't like this Iron Crown. The Palafin, which I know a lot of people probably are going to want to collect just because it's a famous, anime artist drew this one. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember his name or whatever, but I know someone famous drew it, so some people are going to want the card for that reason. It's a pretty cool artwork as well, but it is Palafin at the end of the day. So a lot of these cards I think are going to be in that $30, $40 range. Maybe a couple of them are higher. The Ogerpon Mask, I'm still not a huge fan of. The Eevee Master Ball will probably have some value too. And then for some trainer cards I think could hold some value, it will be the Janines, however you say your name, Janine probably, Secret Art, and then Kieran. I think these cards could probably be in that $40, $50 range. Who knows? Suicune Master Ball is very lovely as well. So a lot of these cards, right, we forget of how deep the set is going to be just because there are going to be those Master Balls, which is a huge X factor that Evolving Skies does not have, right? Evolving Skies has those alternate arts, and a lot of them are absolute bangers that everyone wants. They're super popular. But the same thing is going to be true with Prismatic. There will be a lot of these SIRs people want, but there will be a ton of SIRs that are lower in value, and also the Master Balls, like the Eevee, like the Suicune, like the Vaporeon. A lot of these are going to be mid-tier cards that are going to bring the set value up. And if you look at total set value on Pokedata, which is the site I actually use to, control all my investments, or, track them, I guess is a better word. I put everything into Pokedata. I'm a huge fan of the site. Evolving Skies total set value is about 6,500 Canadian. Don't worry about doing the conversion. It's not super relevant to the point I'm making. But Prismatic Evolutions currently is $14,500 Canadian. More than double, right? So even if these prices halved, you would still have a higher set value than Evolving Skies. And I understand that's not the only thing that's, important when we look at the overall investment opportunity. The top cards play a much larger role than total set value. That's something I've learned over the past year and a half. It is a very important point to bring up just because I don't think people remember and realize how deep the set is going to be just with how many SIRs and Master Balls are in it. But when we look at the top cards as well, I do think that's kind of where the argument for people that are in favor of Evolving Skies are. The Umbreon VMAX is just such a legendary card at this point. Nostalgianomics puts it best that, the Umbreon is kind of right below the Charizard at this point. It's an era-defining card. It's probably one of the most popular cards in the whole Pokemon hobby as a whole, not just the investing side, but also just the TCG in general. Everyone wants this card. The Rayquaza is absolutely a badass card as well. And then a lot of people do favor the artworks of the evolutions in Evolving Skies. And I don't disagree with that. I actually prefer the Leafeon in this one. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Sylveon and Glaceon, but I like the artworks in them as well compared to the Prismatic ones. But there are going to be tons of people that still want these. So I think the prices are going to be very close, especially considering the market we're in right now with how much demand there is for this set, for Pokemon in general, and these being some of the fan favorite Pokemon. The cards are just going to be ridiculous. It doesn't matter what the artworks look like. And yeah, I mean, that's just my opinion. The last thing I wanted to touch on is, keep an eye on a lot of these cards and their prices, guys. So on eBay, and don't just go off TCG Player, because a lot of people, they bring this up. If you go on eBay right now and see what they're selling for, the Umbreon's selling for about 2,100 Canadian, which is definitely less than 1,600 USD. Same thing with the Sylveon, it's going for 750 Canadian, most recent sales, maybe up to 800. That's closer to 500 USD as opposed to 730. The Umbreon Master Ball is actually fairly close on value to TCG Player right now, selling for about 700 Canadian. This one actually sold on auction today for almost 900 Canadian, but this apparently is looking like it could potentially be a PSA 10. Maybe these are as well, who knows. And then finally the Sylveon Master Ball. And again, you guys let me know in the comments down below. This is just my personal bias. I actually prefer looking at the Sylveon Master Ball compared to the Umbreon one. I just think it's easier to see the Master Ball, and maybe this is just because it's photos. Maybe in person it's different. The texture makes it easier to see on the Umbreon. But I personally just prefer the pink background in this one. It really brings out the ball, and you can see it. It looks better, in my opinion. So yeah, guys, the argument to be made for Prismatic is that there's just going to be so much depth, and the top cards are going to be legit, right? So you're going to have top cards that probably compete with Evolving Skies, but outside of that, you will have a ton of depth that is going to bring up the overall set value, which means that the products, the sealed products, like the Prismatic Evolutions ETB, are going to be worth a ton of money. And if there's one product that I think could outperform the Evolving Skies booster box, is going to be the PC version of the ETB. I don't think anything else is going to be even close. And to go a step further, a sealed case of the PC ETBs, which I've seen people get them. I'm super jealous of you guys, incredibly envious, but happy for the people that did get them. These are going to be very rare, right? They put the limit on. There's not going to be as many cases of 4 out there. And if you look at prices for these selling, again, it's TCG Player, but 1,100 USD, right? You've basically what? 4.5, 5x your money already on a case of the PC TPs. That's just wild. Like, it's just wild to comprehend. And I think these prices will come down a bit later in the year if we see a restock of the PCTBs, and we'll probably see a dip, a short dip, but I think those products will probably be bought up fairly quickly. The people with bots, the people that want to do a quick flip, they're going to be buying these out, selling them to investors who will be happy to take a little discount, buy them up, and hold them long term. So that's the reason why I think Prismatic could do better. Evolving Skies, obviously, it's just such a legendary set. The Moonbreon is just such a legendary card at this point, and the Rayquaza is badass as well. People like the artworks more probably in this set compared to Prismatic. There will be, bias depending on how you view it, but I think people in general just prefer the Moonbreon. It's so iconic at this point. The Rayquaza is dope as well. So that would be the argument for Evolving Skies. And we're also just at a point where Evolving Skies boxes, everything's getting ripped. These are getting rarer. So time will tell, guys. You let me know down in the comments what you think, which one you think is going to do better. I think either way, if you have exposure to these sets, you're going to just crush it long term. And yeah, I'll let you guys know in the coming days when my stuff arrives. I'm planning to actually film an IRL video once it all comes, and do another discussion about my regular pre-ordered ETBs that didn't come in. I still haven't heard from the company yet, guys, so every day my patience is growing thinner and thinner, and I'm kind of getting annoyed at this point. It is what it is, but at the same time, I just think it's bad business, and I'm getting documents together and trying to just make sure when I make the video that I don't get anything wrong, and I'm also just not too hard on people, but I want to make sure that I'm truthful I get everything out there just because I'm upset with how it went down, but I'll let you guys be the judge when that video comes out. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.